Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the World Chess Championship 2023, contested by Yan Nepomniachtchi of Russia and Ding Liren of China. This is game number 4. It is 2 out of 3 for Yan Nepomniachtchi. It's 1 out of 3 for Ding Liren as Yan leads 2-1. And a friendly reminder that it is first to 7.5 points. It's a best of 14. And today's game was absolutely incredible. It was sensational. It was epic. And I cannot wait to share it with all of you. Before I show you the game, though, remember, I've ran a 50% off courses promo, and it ends tonight. So if you've ever wanted to get one of my courses, today's the day to do it. Watch the recap. Click that first link in the description, or you can sign up for Chessly Plus. Incredible training games, and there's free samples of everything. So last day. All right, sounds good. Let's do this. C4 is the first move that is played in the game, and this is already, I mean, okay, this isn't a surprise, but it's the English opening, and it's played by Ding Liren after in game 2, he played d4, and the players reached the Queen's Gambit declined, and then Ding went h3. So I do think that this position will happen again. I do not think Ding will play h3 in that game. So he plays the English. Now, Ding really likes to play positions with the bishop on g2. So when he plays the Queen's Gambit declined, Ding likes to play the Catalan. When he plays the English, he likes to play g3, bishop g2. All right, and actually Ding has played the English opening against Yan Nepomniachtchi before. He played it against him in the first game of the Candidates tournament last year, and it did not go very well. Yan was like a determinator in that game, and the move c4 is very useful for d4 players to add to their repertoire. Of course, the major drawback of the move c4 compared to d4 is that black can play e5, right? And now you're not going to play d4, you're playing a reverse Sicilian, and e5 is the sharpest line. Now, what was interesting in this game is that Yan actually chose to play knight f6, which is not e5, but after knight c3, he decided to play e5, which is very interesting. And you can play like that, like you're able. The point is that after e5, White doesn't actually have to play knight c3. White can play g3, and obviously that completely avoids knight c3. It's just a completely different subset of things. And after knight f6, if g3 happens, you could play like e6, d5 and take. You're kind of playing Catalan style. So to the surprise of, I think, a lot of folks, Ding actually plays e3. Now, again, these are very, very high-level subtleties. And for most of you, you don't, honestly, none of this matters. You will never see this in your games. And frankly, you're probably kind of bored right now. But listen, I'm trying to make this recap so anybody 100 ELO can understand, and anybody, 2795 ELO can understand. I would imagine my ceiling is what Yan Nepomniachtchi's rating is. I don't think any grandmasters are watching this recap, but if they happen to be, they should let me know in the comments. It will flatter me. The point of e3 is to play for d4, right? That's what White wants. White wants to put a pawn on d4 and develop a bishop and castle, right? Now, the main line here for black is bishop b4. So that's another kind of benefit of black letting White put a knight on c3, because now this bishop can come out and be traded off. Here, the main line is queen to c2, and black usually castles. After castles, there is knight to d5, getting out of the way, and after knight takes, pawn takes, black's knight gets dislodged. So rook e8 is often played here, and then here there's a very funny move, queen f5. Okay, you absolutely never need to remember this, but the point is that all of this stuff has been played before, but here Yan does something much more concrete. By concrete, I mean he doesn't do any of the stuff that I just showed after castles. He instead takes the knight. He just removes the knight from the board, and you would think that the idea of playing queen c2, the other idea of playing queen c2, is that after bishop takes, you take with the queen, right? I mean, duh. No, actually. The reason for that is black has actually found a way to equalize quite comfortably against this move. Black plays queen e7, e4, and d5. Like, black is actually completely fine. There's even lines like d4 right away, e4, knight g1, d5. Like, there's some very interesting lines here. Black has equalized. There's a game, Wesley So had the white pieces against Awander Liang, if you want to look at that game. Instead, he takes like this. Why would you put your queen to c2, but then take with the pawn? That doesn't, what? So that you can control the center and play e4. This has been a very modern idea. So there's very few games played here. Already we have a very complicated position. Black has given up a dark squared bishop, but he's damaged white's structure. And he's going to be rock solid on the dark squares. Now, it's interesting that Jan plays d6 instead of castling, right? Now, I've actually had this position once myself over the board from a slightly different move order. And I played e4, and I had a good position, but I didn't really know how to handle it. I didn't know how to handle my position because it's so closed, and black is so solid, and my opponent in that game played like a couple of moves and then played for f5. Okay, so we have castles, and now Ding does not play g3, bishop g2, Ding plays bishop e2. All right, so we're even deeper in the tank. Here, only about 20 positions have ever happened in the Masters database, and they've gone knight to h5. The reason they've gone knight to h5 is because black has no other way to do anything in the position. You see, if black just plays natural developing moves, like this and queen d7 and connect the rooks, sooner or later, white will play the move like h3, and then white will play the move d4, and white is basically completely winning. I mean, that's like a little bit of an exaggeration, but white is going to overrun black in center. It's just black has no play. So black needs to start firing away with pawn breaks, all right? And pawn breaks are opportunities where you can exchange pawns to improve your position or potentially, obviously, damage it. You have to evaluate if a pawn break is good or not. Best way to learn about pawn breaks, Middle Games Masterclass. Literally never been a better time to buy it because it's 50% off right now. Improve your middle game. Go check it out. Whole free sample chapter is about making a plan in chess. Do you struggle with making a plan? Yeah, you do. Yes, don't lie to yourself. And I gave you that whole chapter for free. Learn how to make a plan for free. I mean, I don't know how to make it any simpler for you folks. Literally $0. Knight to h5. Jan's plan is to play f5, put his knight on f4, maybe queen f6. Now, fascinating thing about this position, after d4, knight f4, is that it's only ever happened one time, ever. And the person playing white is Richard Rapport. And why is that important? It's important because Rapport is Ding Liren's second for this tournament. Like, he is his training partner, his coach. He's in his corner, like, in fighting, which is fascinating. So, I mean, look, I don't think that, like, this is completely inspired by Rapport, but it is very interesting. And Rapport won that game, obviously. He played it in Bundesliga, not the football league, but there's a Bundesliga for chess. It's much less exciting. Teammates don't punch each other in the face and whatnot. You guys like that current events football joke? So bishop f4, ef4. Now what's funny is that this is an inaccurate move. And Anish Giri, a lot of the other commentators, they thought that Jan mixed up his preparation. Like queen f6 has been played here. And f5. f5 has been played here as well. But you will notice that Jan played this move in about 3 minutes and got to this position. And white has a very, very healthy big boy center. That's what we call that. We call that big boy center, BBC. And so e takes f4 obviously leaves white with a very nice position, but black is a couple of moves away from firing away at it with rook e8, knight a5, and so on, and then maybe queen f6. So it's not all, rainbows and butterflies. Now, Rapport, remember I told you Rapport is the only person in history to have this position? Yeah, he went here. And then after his opponent played knight g4, bishop g4, he undeveloped his knight. And then I think later at some point he played king f1 and just launched the giant attack. It was hilarious. Rapport is crazy. Ding did not do that. Ding castled, queen f6, and now like Ding is making some slight improving moves, but Jan has caught up and the position is equal, and Ding's advantages is kind of gone again. That's not good. All right, now I think instead of bishop d3, Ding could have done something else. He had to probably prevent the move bishop g4. Like this was probably required in the position, and then he enjoys a very, very nice advantage. We know. I mean, how many of you play h3, a3 to just, play random moves? h3 is pretty much always a good move. It stops bishop g4. And he also could have maybe gone aggressive with c5, but Ding makes an inaccuracy, and he has to move his knight out of the way, And Jan is in pretty good shape now. I mean, like, he's kind of solved all his problems. Rook d8, and life is good. But the position's pretty hard. It's a difficult position because at any given moment, white's pawns can come forward. And this pawn is nice, but it's only temporary, okay? I can probably trade that pawn off. And Jan immediately invites trouble, okay? Jan thinks for 2 minutes, removes the knight from the control of the center and is basically waving a red flag in front of a bull, okay? And there's only so long that Ding Liren is going to be able to resist this opportunity. And here Ding plays c5. He thinks for 12 minutes, he plays c5, and the idea of c5 is that now the pawn is no longer ever a target. And if you ever take me, which you probably will have to do, because if you don't, I'm going to keep building behind on the queen side behind the pawn. After you take me, I have no intention of taking back. My intention is that now I have removed your pawn from the control of the center of the board, and now e5. And I open up a battery to h7. You have to go defend it. Now d5, the center is sealed. And for the cost of 1 pawn, I have dominated the center of the board, and your knight can now not return home. And if you play a move like c6 to try to trade pawns with me, I will just defend myself, or I'll walk into your position. And that's really bad. So ladies and gentlemen, this is officially the greatest position that Ding Liren has had in the first 4 games of the match. Can he win and level the score? And it will be match on. Rook to d8, okay? Rook to d8. The rooks are now staring at the pawns. Ding plays c4. A very tense moment. This is the worst position Jan Nepomniachtchi has had in this match. The pawns are triumphant. If at any point you try to poke at them, they will ignore you and walk forward. So we kind of have a quagmire between these 2 pawns and the 2 black pawns. Who is going to budge? All right? And how do you play this position if you're playing with black? Because if white trades the bishops and plays rook d1 and just starts advancing, how are you going to defend yourself? So we have b6. Of course you have to play b6 because you need to get your knight back. But also you need to just make sure your structure is solid. h3. The bishop has been removed. And now here, queen c3, bishop f5, all decent moves. Bishop e4, decent move. Trying to decide which of your pieces you're going to put on f3. Rook e7. Rook e7 is a waiting move. Jan thought for 17 minutes and slid his rook forward 1 square. You kind of wonder, what is going through his head, right? Right? Like, I mean, really, like, you're in a very bad position here. Ding is kind of walking you down. Rook e7. Now, slide my queen forward 1 square. You know what the computer is saying black's best move is after something like a4, just like doing nothing? King f8. Queen c3, king g8. I mean, like, I'm not even, like, exaggerating. Like, I mean, at some point, black is out of moves. So queen c3, he lines up the pressure onto that pawn. But Ding was ready, of course. He plays bishop f3. And I told you, if the bishop trade happens, it is a massive improvement for white because black loses the only active piece that they had. If black trades the dark squared bishop, it's kind of like the Los Angeles Lakers not re-signing Alex Caruso. Basically the stupidest decision of all time. Knight b7 played in the game. Now, you will notice the move d6 here attacks the knight and hits the rook, but not quite because the knight can take, and that doesn't work. So rook e2, and now Ding is probably going to play here. Now here Jan does something bold but correct. Okay, bold but correct. He doesn't have to do this move. Jan can continue to sit there with these pawns staring at him and just go, well, you can't move them forward. Instead, Jan goes here. Now, what did I tell you a long time ago? I told you that if one of those moves happens, e6. Okay, that looks good, right? It looks good. But look at black's blockade. I mean, Jan has a complete and total blockade on the position. Now, here the computer actually wanted bishop g6. And the fascinating thing about bishop g6 is that the computer is claiming white cannot break through. The computer actually is looking at this position and just saying, this is the optimal blockade. Jan has actually solved all his problems. This is nuts. I mean, Ding Liren had his greatest position in the match, and he's still unable to break through Jan Nepomniachtchi. It's a bummer. I mean, it's a bummer, really. Like, Jan is in amazing form. I don't know what Ding is going to have to do to try to secure a victory in the match. Really, like, I just have... I don't know. It's kind of a bummer. Like, bishop g6, and that's it. You've completely sealed everything off. Okay, knight f5 is fine, but again, he should really be sitting there. Like, he shouldn't, in any way, shape, or form, be allowing anything to go forward. But okay, remember I told you how, like, allowing the trade of bishops might be bad for black? Well, it happens, and now rook e4, and the queen comes back to h6, and obviously white has a more pleasant position, okay? The computer likes white's position a bit more. So now we have queen f3, right? Attacking the pawn on f4, and folks, I'm gonna ask you a question. How do you defend the pawn on f4? It's not a trick question, okay? How do you defend the pawn on f4? Well, you gotta go g5, right? You probably gotta go g5, and if white tries to play g4, you play knight d6, and, you know, you get your fortress, right? So queen f3, you gotta go g5. In this position, Jan Nepomniachtchi plays the move knight to d4. He plays that move in 2 minutes. Are you seeing what I'm seeing? Knight d4, the idea was queen f4, and something like c6. But after knight to d4, in this position, Ding Liren sacrificed the rook! Rook takes d4, and after c takes d4, nobody cares about the f4 pawn any longer, as the pony is now going to gallop to b3, to d4, to f5, to c6, to e7, and the legendary pawn chain of Ding Liren reigns supreme. Black can play c5 to try to hold it all together, but Ding Liren is not going to fall for the trick of en passant. He's going to play d6, and if you take his pawn on e6, he's going to play queen d5, pinning the pawn to the rook to the king, and if you play f5 defending that, he's going to play d7. Rook takes d4 blundered with 30 minutes on the clock is exactly how Jan lost his match against Magnus. That is wild. I mean, when you put the knight on d4, the knight can be taken, of course. You're going to win material, but all of a sudden, Ding Liren is winning. Ding Liren is off to the races. Pawn to g4, trying to secure an outpost on the f5 square. fg3, knight f5, walking him down e7. The black rook is suffocating on e8. It cannot move out of the way. Queen f7. Now we have d6. d7 is a knockout punch, so you've got to take this pawn and accept the fork. Knight e8, queen e8. Ding Liren has converted his initial investment and he's gotten significant return. The pawn on e7 is going to queen. Nobody can stand up to it, and this is the way you remove the blockade. You bring the queen to e6. Both players get their extra time. Black is defending himself intelligently, but check takes, rook f6, check, hunts the king out. You can't take the pawn because of rook e1. You play rook g6, and I get to your queen. And in this position, Jan resigned, because after rook to g8, black is lost anyway because of rook d8. Or this, and the point is my pawn is using my rook as a infiltration point, and e8 is unstoppable. What you don't do, however, after rook g8 is play this, because that would be a tragic blunder. Ladies and gentlemen, rook g8, excuse me, queen g7 and queen f8, Ding Liren wins the game, and he has won. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. It's 2-2. It's 2-2. Oh, it's match on. Ding Liren started slow, but now the slate is clean. 2-2 after 4, and I'll see you back for game number 5. Welcome to the World Chess Championship 2023. And make sure to get a Chessly course while it's 50% off. Get out of here.